Want to go, pretty boy?
Two minutes by yourself and you feel shame, and then you get free.
The only thing better than a glass of beer is tea with Miss McGill.
And welcome to the Fourth Line Voice Podcast. My name is Darren. Thank you very much for tuning in. Episode 470 of the Big Show, some enforcer-based podcasting coming at you, brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network. How's everybody doing out there? Oh yes, another Sunday, bloody Sunday here, folks. Actually, the NFL game's been going my way so far. Won a few bucks on the had Crawford by decision last night. Actually won that fairly easy, didn't he? I don't know what some of the judges scored. 115, 113. I'm like, yeah, Crawford outboxed Canelo fairly solidly in that bout. But yeah, man. So that's nice. Made a couple. Anytime you can make a few bucks, it's always a good thing. But what do they always say? Money won is a lot sweeter than money earned. So yeah. But how you guys doing? Thanks for tuning in. What are we gonna talk about today? Well, I'm gonna do. You know what? I was saying to you guys the other earlier this afternoon. I said I haven't done a player spotlight in a while. So I said, "Do you got any suggestions? Who do you throw out?" He threw out a cat that I have. I don't want to say I've forgotten about, but Matt Kassian. And I can remember, of course, when he started with the Vancouver Giants. Of course, my boys Tony and Napes, the boys out there, and Sean out in Vancouver, saying, "You got to see this big son of a bitch we got in Vancouver." And at the time, man, they had him and Lucic at the same time. Imagine that, and Hunt, good. But they ended up trading him to Kamloops. But we followed Kassian quite closely, and he was great. And he was junior, man. He was awesome. Probably the champ in the Western League, and drafted in the second round by Minnesota, which was kind of a puzzling pick, but. Had a little bit of a run in the minors. Then played. He played about 85 NHL games. Well, I'll bring up his stats here when we get going into that segment. But I broke down his fights, and we'll talk about that and talk about my live stream, and then a little bit, and maybe some things I can tweak. The Probert fallout has been really something about my last episode when I asked if Bob Probert was, or I was asked if I thought Bob Probert was overrated, and I put that on Facebook and stuff, and as you could well imagine, I read some of the comments last week when I had put it up and I was recording, but yeah, it continues. And then basically it's just like my week on the internet. We have some idiots with twist, and of course the NHL preseason has started. So we'll talk about that. Not that I'm going to talk a lot about the preseason, but just like the comments. But that'll all fall under my week on the internet. But and then Yuka sent me a newspaper article is the word I'm searching for here. And it's from the Ottawa Citizen in 1961, and it's from Newsy Lalonde, and we're going way back. He was one of the original players of the Montreal Canadiens, and just kind of looking up briefly, he was and we're talking like 1910, 1912, 15, around there. But he actually scored the first goal in Montreal Canadiens history. He was a member of their first time they won the Stanley Cup. And he started in the NHL when the NHL was still kind of like a loosely based league and stuff. He's also a very highly accomplished lacrosse player as well. So he was really a pioneer and vicious. Like the stories of him are vicious playing, and he was one, and then when he was coaching, he actually fought one of his players, and but yeah, he anyway, in this article, it's from 1961, so obviously old Newsy's well into his senior years, but he talks about the toughest players, and Newsy Lalonde's all-time meanest tough team. So we'll talk about that, and there's a few names on it, but it's just first of all, the way it's written. Yuka and I did talk about that because Yuka's a real historian, but he says it's funny when you go back through the old articles back in the 40s and 50s, their use of language in their written word is tremendous, and so I'll read this to you. But some of the list of the guys now. For those listening, maybe especially the younger folks, you might not have ever heard of these names before, but wait till you hear the stories and accompanying of why Newsy put them on the list. It's quite something, and it definitely represents a different time for sure in hockey, and so we'll talk about that. And then of course I have my the best in the East, my Western Hockey League list from 2000 and 2001. We'll talk about the best fighters from there, and then like I said, we'll get on to the Matt Kassian player spotlight. But before we do all of that, of course, I have to bring up, obviously, I'm a member of the Hockey Podcast Network. Over 100 and plus shows on the network. I'm on the original content creator side myself, Joe Lazito, who just came out with a Bill Armstrong interview. So Joe is back in action, and Bill Armstrong and Army's going to tell some stories. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but I will download it and I will have it in the truck here this week at work. But yeah, good to have Joe back. Much like a teacher, he took the summer off, but he's coming back storming. I think he's got another interview in the can, or maybe he recorded it in the can. I'm not quite sure, but either way, or maybe it should stay in the can. I don't know. Sometimes Joe releases he doesn't release an episode, it escapes. But like I said last week, good to see Joe's back because I didn't like his front. But anyway, oh, how much we're gonna blow some dust off of these jokes. Holy shit! Coliseum Chronicles, Joe Lazito, tremendous. I know I keep saying it, Joe. I know you're listening. You got to get on the show here. Look at the hilarity you're missing out on. But also, my other podcast that I do, the Bruised and Battered podcast that I co-host with Alec and Jay. We're on episode 40. We have this week's guest is Lucas Helland. The Bruised and Battered show is a look at current minor league hockey. Yeah, I know what you guys are saying, but you don't watch hockey. No, I don't. I don't watch hockey, but yet I do 2 hockey podcasts. It's quite amazing. It's amazing what you can get on social media these days. But I do watch the fights, and I do stay up to date on that sort of thing. And Lucas tells some great stories. Very good Justin Schmidt story that you want to check out. But I always have fun recording with Jay and Alec. We go into our I guess our mundane banter at the start of the show and back and forth, and we fart our way through the episode, and then we get to the player interview, which usually hopefully saves the episode, because leading up to it we're trying our best to drive the car off the highway, but we usually steer it on track back at the end with the player interview. But no, and actually, in all seriousness, Bruised and Battered show's been doing really well, really picking up a lot of momentum, and really looking forward. This winter is going to be really interesting for the show. It'll be our second kind of air quote season. And and we've got some really cool stuff lined up. We got some really cool giveaways. And like I said, it's all current minor league stuff. And like I said, it's been a lot of fun. Also, we have merchandise coming out. Yes, finally. It is from the Buckets Off Apparel, Brock and Brittany, that we've got to meet. We've met through the podcast, really, and they're setting up a merchandise, and the gimmick with the merchandise that's really cool is not only do they have their own, but they're doing some current player stuff. Yannick Turcotte, Spencer Kennedy, Elias Thompson, to name a few. And the really cool thing is the players have a hand in designing the shirts. And then all the money from the proceeds the players get it. And, because these guys are Federal League guys, East Coast League guys, it's not exactly like they're raking in the dough. And so any little bit helps. So I think that'll be really cool. And I mean, those guys are immensely popular in the cities that they play in. So I think a lot of the local fans will definitely be buying some shirts. So I think that way everybody makes a few bucks, and that'll be pretty cool. And they asked us if we wanted to be a part of it, and so we're gonna have bruised and battered merchandise, as well as we have some designs in the that we're going to unveil here going forward. But we do have our logo T-shirt to start, and as well as Caden with his Coast Battles, and John with his Hockey Fight League. Anybody familiar on Instagram with those two accounts? If you're not following those two accounts, you should, because Caden, the Coast Battles, as it sounds, puts up all the East Coast League fights, and John with the Hockey Fight League. He'll hit you with some American League stuff, some current and great fights, and so definitely follow them on Instagram, because a lot of those fights you ain't seeing anywhere else. So check that out. But they've got some shirts on there too, and then the Fourth Line Voice. I have some shirts on there. My logo shirt right now is on there. Again, I've had some ideas for designs over. I've been sitting on these for a few years. I think I'm gonna talk to Brock, and as the season gets started here, I think we'll upload a few of the designs and see how the fans take it. And so that'll be Buckets Off Apparel. They're going to start their shop. They're going to open their shop online right at the end of September here, kind of right at the start of the season in terms of the minor league hockey, and everybody will hit the ground running at that point. So really looking forward to it. Really happy with the partnership with Brock and Brittany. Really thankful that they asked us to be a part of it, and so we finally got some merch, so that'll be cool. Really looking forward to it. And as it drops, I will, follow me on social media, and, we'll be pumping the links out, and the links will be in the descriptions here of this episode. And, maybe not this episode, but once the store is online, I'll be putting the links in the episode and all that stuff. And actually, we'll probably have a promo code that people can use and that type of thing. So, really looking forward to it. But, so Buckets Off Apparel. But, anyway, folks, we're going to keep the lights on. We're going to spin an ad. I know, but it's DraftKings. Hey, man, you could have been betting. You could have made some money on Crawford last night on DraftKings. I'm just saying, sign up with a good promo. Sign up, get a $200 bonus, and drop that on Crawford. Would have doubled that shit. You'd be at almost $5 right now. Oh, I'm telling you, just saying. So hit this, and we'll be back. We'll get going with this.
And now, here's a word from our sponsor.
Your season, your shot. The NFL season is rolling, and every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. From first touchdown scorer to anytime TD props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. Yeah, guys, I mean, if you're looking at the Super Bowl, Buffalo's the favorite right now, plus 475. MVP, Lamar, plus 475. Joe Burrow, is this his year, 750. New customers, this one's for you. If you bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly, plus score over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the promo code THPN. That's code THPN to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet. Plus over $200 off the NFL ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of the Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Fees may apply in Illinois, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday ticket terms at youtube.com/NFL Sunday ticket/terms. Limited time offer.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Okay. I know I've been talking about it the last couple episodes. Once again, on Friday, did a live stream. Wasn't bad. Kind of didn't get the turnout that I was hoping for, which was really strange because it's like I made the reel on Facebook and promoted it that afternoon. And yeah, the reel had like 1,500 views, and I thought, it was really, hey, 9 p.m. Eastern, here's the link to click to, Fourth Line Voice on YouTube. And just didn't take, I don't know, I think at most we had was 18 or 19 in there at one time. And again, although I've said it to a few people, I guess I don't know how many I was expecting. Like, I don't think hundreds are showing up or anything like that. I don't expect it to be a Beatles concert, but I mean, I was kind of like, man, really? But anyway, I'm very thankful to those that did show up. Thank you for participating in the chat as well, which was really cool. Steve Jiggs, former player, showed up, commented a little bit, which was it's always cool when you get a former player in there. And with the stuff, I just spin minor league and junior stuff, mostly from my channel, and I try to pick out some good stuff or just some unique pieces, right? That maybe, like I put Probert and Martinson from the American League, or a couple George Larocque Junior fights from the Quebec Junior League, and the one where Blue Man breaks his nose and all that, and some Tony Twist IHL, and try to get them the air quote kind of before they were stars kind of thing, or before they made the NHL. Unfortunately, although it's really weird with the live streams, you can't play NHL stuff because they basically copyright it and just shut your stream down, which is weird because you can upload NHL fights and they never say shit. You can there's NHL fight clips all over YouTube, and that's fine. But the moment you live stream them, for some reason it becomes copyright. Whatever. But I'm like, I always say, fuck the NHL anyway. So we do minor league and junior stuff. And like I say, I try to play some unique stuff. So, and it's going to be a kind of hopefully a theme going forward on Fridays. I call it Fighting Fridays. So it would be 9 o'clock Eastern time that I'm going to do these. And we go for an hour and a bit, and crack some beers and bullshit and watch some cool fights. And hopefully people get in the chat and talk, and because you can type your shit up, and I'll try to respond to the chat, and we can kind of and have that dialogue, and and watch some cool fights, and hopefully any of my listeners out there, hope you guys stop by. Trying to grow it, and I think it'll be a fun little deal that people can, for an hour or whatever, come down and get your smart TV on, turn it on, and get the big screen and see some cool shit. And like I said, I'll try to play some stuff that I don't think people have seen, and I don't know. I think it'll be fun. So, like I said, I've done it a few times. This is about the fourth one now. So, first couple I had NHL stuff and they got shut down. So that's how I learned about that. I learned the hard way. But the last couple had no problems. Played right through, and they've been fun. So again, I encourage you. I call it Fighting Friday, and it is just basically a fight video watch along, and it's at 9 p.m. Eastern time at the Fourth Line Voice on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel. I'd love that. And I have over 2,500 fight videos on my channel. So please subscribe, check out the channel, and go down that rabbit hole. You'll be entertained for hours. And I uploaded a whole bunch of stuff recently. So check it out. Lots of stuff. And go to the little search engine. You can type in any league you're looking for. And I do have NHL stuff on there, but NHL, OHL, AHL, MOUSE, just type it in and boom, it'll all come up and away you go. So please subscribe to the channel. I think you'll dig it. And again, follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Not so much Twitter, but Instagram and Facebook, and Fourth Line Voice, of course. And drop me a line. My DMs are open, as the kids say. So if you want to drop me a line, please do. But so live stream 9 p.m. Eastern on Fridays. Now. My week on the internet. Okay. Which is always interesting. But like I was saying earlier, the Probert topic was very hotly contested, as it always is. And that's the thing. And Probert's one of always the hot button. As soon as you mention his name, it's almost like it's not gaslight. Well, it is like gaslighting. I mean, it doesn't matter. And the problem is looking now, the way the question was asked of me, was he overrated? I knew what the person meant from other conversations with him, that he was asking me if I thought Bob Probert was the best fighter of all time. That's what he was asking. And that's probably how I should have wrote it on social media. The problem was I wrote it like how I write my descriptions of the podcast. So like when I put show topics in the podcast notes, I just put as Bob Probert overrated ? Like I can't put but they're really asking me if he's the number one fighter. Like I can't put that long description. And unfortunately, I think I sort of copy pasted and slapped it on social media as well that way. And so it just comes across that way. And I should have, on social media, I should have asked more detail or like more of what I meant or what the theme of what my question was. Or how I viewed his question, because it wasn't my question either. I was just sort of, that's how I interpreted it. Anyway, so I had to explain that to a few people. Well, no one's saying he's overrated. It was, or is he overrated not overrated as a fighter, more, was he the number one fighter of all time? This should have been the question, is how I should have worded it. So that's a little bit on me, because I knew what he meant, or at least I thought I knew what he meant, because that's how I interpreted his question. But, you know, and of course, I'll go, oh, are you crazy, and blah, blah, blah. Well, you guys heard it. I was reading it in real time last episode. I was reading the Facebook messages to my post. And but anyway, I had one guy who decided, and there was a few guys, they give like stupid replies and stuff, but nothing was like directed towards me except for this one guy, old Jim, and of course he's from Michigan, and old Jimmy here apparently just like took umbrage with everything I said, and he replies to it. He goes, really reaching for topics. The entire hockey world knows he wasn't. He's considered the GOAT. I love the is there a more overused quote by sports fans? The GOAT, the GOAT. You just sound like clowns. He's considered the GOAT by almost all enforcers everywhere. Don't need a podcast for common knowledge. Oh, I didn't. So my reply to him was, well, there's a lot of enforcers that don't say that, and I said to him, but the topic was asked of me by a listener, so I just addressed it, and I thought I would throw it out there for you guys to consider. But I said, well, so you're not listening then? LOL. His reply to that, I've got better things to do. It's enough that you can't understand your own moronic statements. Okay? And so I just like, oh, the irony, LOL. Think I know who's... Oh, yeah, he asked me if I was trolling for attention. And I said, well, I think I know who's trolling for attention. Comment section hero here, typical. Lots to say, but you create nothing. Because he was actually... I should have qualified this at the start. I had made a reel on Facebook, like a 20-second reel with a bunch of clips, and I do the audio over it. And I had posted it on my Facebook in 2 of the fight groups, and then I also put it in the Bob Probert fan group. Which, I'll tell you, that group is really something. You talk about fanboy. Like, I get it. It's a Bob Probert fan group. But all the nut huggers that can't listen to reason are in that group. But, hey, I'm just looking to try to get listens. So I'm thinking, well, I'll throw it on there. And, hopefully people listen to the show. That's the thing. When you do this, you're like, I laugh, you're trolling for attention. Well, it's an advertisement for my podcast. So, I guess in theory I'm looking for attention because that's what a podcast is. That's how I have to advertise my podcast. So I guess advertisers are looking for attention. I mean, what do you want me to do? Do a podcast but not tell anybody? But the moment I start telling people, it's like, oh, I'm trolling for attention. Okay. But that's why I say, well, you've never created anything yourself. That's why I always say, like, these people that have lots to say in these comment groups or these Facebook groups, or when they comment in like I said that with the Bob Probert tournament that I did, you get all these people commenting, where's this? And this is stupid. And why would you do that? Whatever. These are the same people that you never create anything in these fight groups. All you do is comment and just talk shit, or you're just miserable or whatever. Like, you never post any videos, you never post any pictures, you never do a podcast, you never do a tournament. Like, you never create anything. I'm creating this for people. Like, I don't do this podcast for me. Like, I've read all these articles, I've watched all these fights that I'm talking about. I don't need to do this for me. I'm just doing it for the listeners. I'm trying to do a hockey fight podcast that I hope hockey fight fans listen to, because there isn't a lot of hockey fight podcasts out there. So I'm just trying to find my little niche and do my podcast and create something for the world to listen to. And I've never forced anybody to listen the last time I checked, but I mean, if you're a hockey fight fan, I would think you'd tune in. Maybe you enjoy it, maybe you don't. That's fine, but at least listen to it and give it a chance. And, that's all I ever ask, and like when I do my tournaments, it's just a fun little thing in the summer to let's have a discussion on who would beat who and let's vote on it. And after 2 weeks, we'll find out who won. I mean, we're not, it's not a, we're not trying to solve world peace here or anything. Like, I mean, it's not a huge, like somebody go, oh, this is a waste of time. There are bigger problems in the world. Well, I'm well aware of that. I didn't say I'm trying to cure hunger here by doing a Bob Probert voting tournament. It was just something to do online that I thought would be fun for people. And that's what I always say with anything I post or my videos or even this podcast. It's something to do for people for an hour, to take them out of their life but take them out of their, take them away from their job or their stress or, if they're on or the shitty commute it's entertainment, man. That's all I'm doing here. I'm just trying to entertain you. So for you to reply this hostile right away to a reel, like, I have better things to do. Oh, okay. Well then don't listen then. Like, I wasn't forcing you to listen to my podcast. It was just a real advertising it. And you're the one that decided to mouth off and get all hot about it. And okay. So I said, and like I said, so I said, typical, lots to say, but you create nothing. His reply goes, sure, kid. Oh, kid. Yeah, I love that one. Well, and I just put kid, LOL, gutless. I'm like, I'm all screwing up I had screenshots here. It says overrated. Try to keep up and stay on topic. I said the irony, no wonder you're on here trolling for attention. I said, yes, trolling. Been a member for years and it's content creation. Just trying to produce something hockey fans would listen to. It does say overrated because the question was asked. Try and keep up. And then I replied, do you want to come on the podcast and discuss it? Let's create some hockey content for the people. And that's when he said, I have better things to do. Yeah. And I was like, oh, yes, there you go. Typical. Yeah, sure, kid. Yeah. And then that's when I put, gutless. And that's the thing. I mean, I always laugh at these guys because that's happened about a dozen times now where you get these guys just out of nowhere trolling and they can sure run their dick lickers on fucking line behind their keyboard. Like I said, are you part of the 101st Chairborne Division? Like, yeah. Okay, killer, whatever you say, like keyboard warrior here, meal team 6. But it's like, okay, but why don't you come on my podcast then and say it verbally? Like I said, we can get on Zoom so you can stare right at me on the screen. We can look at each other and I won't edit anything. You can have your discussion and have your say and tell me everything I'm clueless about. So I tell these people, not one person has ever taken me up on it. Like, I'm like, oh, you gutless fucks. Like, but you can sure hide in the comment section and run your yap. But as soon as you get, okay, well then come on the show then. Oh, I'm gonna, yeah, then sure, kid. Well, I'm older than you, first of all, you dipshit. But that's your comeback, right? Yeah. I'm like, oh, you're so gutless. But that whole thing could have just been avoided. Like, because it's just like, why are you being like that's what I don't know. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like, why are you being like that? Like, I guess it's just like there's so much bullshit in the world. Like, do you need to come on the fight group or do you need to respond to a hockey, like the Fourth Line Voices podcast reel and just be just a dickhead? Like, no one said, like, did I get on that reel and say, oh, Probert sucks and all? Like, no, I didn't say that. It was a question. I said, a listener asked me if Bob Probert's overrated. Let's discuss it. Like, that was the reel said. No, right away, you got to fucking be an asshole about it. And then when I call you on your assholishness, you right away bow up like you're like, okay, kid, yeah, whatever. Like, fuck you. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if you're listening right now, you gutless fuck. Wouldn't come on the show though, pussy. And it's just like, but you can sure yap in the comments though. But it was just so why? Like, that's why. Like, I said that to a bunch of guys in the Probert tournament. That they just got to comment to just be dickheads. oh, like this tournament's a real joke. Look at these outlets. Like this guy's not, Craig Cox isn't even in it. Like who's the idiot that put this together? Really? That's your comment? Who's this idiot that put it together? Well, first of all, dumb shit. Look at who posted it. That's probably who put it on. So again, the irony of who the idiots are. Well, then why don't you just send me a message then? But no, it's like people just got to be fucking miserable. And it's like, and I went through it the one guy, like I was saying the other episode. Yeah, I went through this guy's comments in the group. Yeah, every one of them is just negative shit talking people about everything. Like, fuck, go outside and touch grass, man. Like, get a life. Like, you're literally online and then but then I laugh, they get all indignant when you call them on it. Like, yeah, so when I call them on it, all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, what do you mean, kid? Yeah, like you don't know anything. And all, yeah, I do. But it's, yeah, I don't know. I'm getting too worked. I'm not worked up over it, but it's more just, and I'm not surprised anymore because we've all been on the internet for 2 decades now. I mean, I'm well aware of the idiocy. That's what, I know the internet slandering others anonymously. I think that's Google's tagline, but it's just like, and I said, I don't give a shit if you like listen to the podcast and like this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, or I don't like sound of his voice sounds, or this guy sucks. Okay, fine, whatever, I suck. Then don't watch it or don't listen to it. There's lots of podcasts that I've turned on for a couple minutes and I'm like, I don't think this is very good. This sucks. I don't get in the person's comment section or in their DMs. Fuck, dude, you listen, kid, you stink. Like you're overrated, blah, blah, blah. Like, no. I've never left a message for anybody, like, or a comment on any podcast outside of like, hey, I really enjoy your shit. Like, if I really enjoy it, I let the person know. I love this episode, great content. Like, yeah, actually, I sent a comment to the guy that runs the Risk of Ruin podcast, and just said, I love I can't imagine the work you put in, the research, and your podcast is tremendous. I really enjoy it, and I look forward to every episode that comes out. Because believe me, when it's like anything in life, when you're a creator and stuff, you love to get that feedback from people, because it's like everyone's, like I always say, you turn on the microphone and you talk into the ether and hope people are listening, right? So. So it's really satisfying and it's really humbling when you get the messages. And I'm not fishing for comments right now at all. I mean, I've gotten comment and whatever, and it's great. And I love talking to the fellow listeners and fellow fight fans. That's all we are, right? We're all fans. And it's been great. But these people that are just fucking miserable. It's like I said, maybe log off then, and just go away. Because, like I said, you call them on it, and then they get indignant that somehow you're trolling them, or like they just get offended that you can't handle it. Well, no, I can handle it fine. You're the one who's having a tantrum over a fantasy hockey tournament, or a tantrum over a podcast that you didn't even listen to. Like, you didn't even listen to the episode of me explaining what the overrated part was and my reaction to it. You didn't even listen. Instead, you just immediately go 0 to 100 and have some reaction to it. Like all these comments online, like right away, everyone's, oh, I can't believe anybody would say that. You're one of these people, stupid, like blah, blah, blah. Well, why don't you listen first? And then you can have that discuss that or whatever. But everybody's just so goddamn reactionary. It's like, and you don't even, so you're literally talking about something you know nothing about. You don't know what the outcome was of the discussion or anything, but you're just going to comment anyway. That's like, I'm going to comment on this book or this movie. I'm not going to watch it or read it, but damn it, you're going to hear about what I think of things. Ignorant and stupid you sound. But that's all the world is now. It's just clickbait headlines to get people fired up and gaslight people, and this is what you get. And nobody investigates shit. And it's just, yeah. I don't know. Now I'm rambling off onto a bunch of things, but it's just, I don't know. It's just eye rolling. But yeah, and then the other one, Drop Your Gloves 2.0. I got to get, I'm pretty sure it's Brian Kurzman that runs it. I need to get him on the show. Of course, he ran the old Drop the Gloves Game Worn Enforcer stuff back in the day, website. I'm sure a lot of listeners remember that. He's been putting stuff on Facebook and just tremendous old American Hockey League videos. Crystal clear stuff too. Great stuff. But one of the fights he actually put up was funny. Was the Link Gates Tony Twist fight from juniors in Saskatoon, and Gates just gives it to Twist. And that fight's been around forever. It's been on my channel for a decade, and I mean, it's been around. But it's a really cool look at like two guys that would kind of go on to be legendary, right? But as 18-year-olds in junior hockey. Oh, but the comments are just like the one guy, so that's the great Tony Twist, LOL. Like, okay, fuck, get a clue. Like, you have no idea where this was shot. Some other guy goes, yeah, this just proves Gates is a punching bag. Meanwhile, Link landed 30 punches to Twist 2. So this guy doesn't even know who's who in the fight. But he's, again, running his yap. And it's just, oh, you're so stupid. But a lot of these comments, of course, oh, well, this is what happens when you don't take steroids. Like, Twist was no good without steroids. Well, how do you know he wasn't on steroids back then? You know, how do you know he was on them with the Blues? Did he ever test positive? Did he ever come out and say he was? Like, that's what I think. Everybody just loves, and like, he was the only one, if he was. Like, I love everybody just, they're so sure that he was on them and just throw that out there. And it's like, and there's the one, I'm like, the one guy goes, well, this is what happens when you're not on roids. And I said, well, how do you know he wasn't? And of course, he comments, oh, look at him. He's a string bean. Tony Twist was never a string bean. I met Tony Twist when he was 18, 19. He bounced at Esmeralda's. He was never a string bean. Like, no, he was always big, you know. But granted, he's also a teenager in that fight. Like, he's also 18 years old. So, yeah, he's not going to be as big as when you saw him in St. Louis 15 years later, you moron. You know, or like 10 years later, you dipshit. Like, yeah, oh, well, he was a lot bigger when he played with the Blues. Well, yeah, no shit. I was a lot bigger at 28 than I was at 18 too, you dummy. Like, you know, yeah, because it's not like, oh, these guys are physical world-class athletes that lift weights and are around strength trainers for, yeah, no, that wouldn't make you get bigger at all either. Like, these people are so fucking dumb, you know. But again, I love this idea that Twist was only good because of the steroids. Twist was always good. And then they're like, oh, yeah, he looked like it in that fight. Well, first of all, it was Link Gates. It wasn't like it was some European goal scorer that was beating him up. It was Link Gates, who Twist repaid the favor in the IHL 2 years later. Fights on YouTube, Fourth Line Boys. But Twist was also, when I do these best in the East, Twist was voted best fighter in 1988 by the players. So, yeah, he was that good. Like... But again, let's just run our fucking yaps about shit we know nothing about. Because you saw a few fights in the NHL from Twist, and then you watch him get beat up by Gates and Jr. Now all of a sudden you're a Tony Twist authoritarian, and you're just, you're just gonna lay judgment down. Oh, he wasn't on steroids. He really wasn't that good. He was only good because of steroids. And yeah, he was way bigger when he was 28. Well, yeah. Brilliant points. Yeah. Oh, fuck. You don't know what you're talking about. Literally don't know what you're talking about. Oh, I love that one. Link Gates is a punching bag. Oh, I love that one. Okay. Yeah. Again, another well thought out comment. I don't know what it is. And maybe it's just, maybe I'm just old. Well, I am old. And my birthday on the 17th, folks. Make sure if anybody's planning on sending anything, let me know. I can DM me my address. Really looking forward to the gifts. I'm really getting excited about my gifts from overseas, from Finland and from the UK. Like, I heard Paul and John are actually going to get together and, buy something, which is really cool. And then, of course, Yuka and stuff. I mean, Yuka's going to, he's got more money than he knows what to do with. So, I mean, I'm really looking forward to it. Big staff party. Yeah, the Fourth Line Voice UK division is planning a big bash, so I'm really looking forward to it. But anyway, yeah. No, I was going to say, when you post things, I don't know what it is. I would feel embarrassed writing this shit. Like, there's lots of stuff in this world that I don't know, obviously. But, like, when people put stuff on Facebook that I might have a passing interest in, or I might know a little bit about, I'm not going to go into the comment section and just start writing bullshit that I really have no clue about. But it's like amazing the number of people in my notifications that I don't know if it's just verbal diarrhea and they just feel the need to put something. They just have to say something. It's amazing to me. But anyway. And you have no fear of looking like making yourself look like a complete moron. I always say the world lacks self-awareness. And these people are shining examples of it. But anyway, let's move on to this Newsy Lalonde article, shall we? I think you guys will get a real kick out of it. And like I said, this is from the Ottawa Citizen in 1961. Veteran of violence himself, Newsy Lalonde doesn't allow this natural dignity as he once enshrined to the Hockey Hall of Fame to interfere with his memories. In picking the weekend his all-time meanest, toughest team, he named himself position of coach. Newsy's storied career extended over 21 seasons of professional hockey, leading the Stanley Cup. It was divided between 1927 among teams Cornwall, Toronto, Renfrew, Vancouver, Canadian, Saskatoon, and the New York Americans. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we'll get to this. When he became a Hockey Hall of Famer, Newsy's scoring savvy, which got him 441 goals and 365 pro games, and left him 5 times the leading scorer in various leagues. But old-timers seem more in awe of the bloody duels he had with such players as Joe Hall. Hall is a star of the Quebec Bulldogs and nearly severed Newsy's windpipe in Quebec. The next game in Montreal saw blood-hungry crowds batter down the gates of the old Westmount Arena, only to see Hall carve Newsy for 18 stitches. But Newsy redeemed himself with the fans. As soon as the doctor got him back in one piece, he returned to the ice and shattered Hall's collarbone. But there was nothing personal about it, added Newsy, when Hall later joined the Canadians, who became friends and roommates. Hall's death following the flu epidemic. The Canadians were in Seattle, were halted the Stanley Cup Finals in 1919. Newsy picks Hall on defense with, of course, the late Sprague Cleghorn as partner. There can't be any argument about Sprague. Not long before his death, I interviewed him for a feature. Sprague, now also in the Hall of Fame, admitted to disabling 3 players in one night in Ottawa, being arrested for almost killing Newsy another night in Toronto. Newsy pleaded for Sprague in court and got him off with a $200 fine, and laying out Lionel Hitchman of the Ottawa Senators, which started a 23 riot in Montreal's old Mount Royal Arena. All in all, Sprague figured he had been in 50 stretcher case fights. Oh, God. Billy Cote, a defenseman of Sprague that night in Montreal, drew an honorable mention for demolishing Cy Denny in a fracas so vicious that their own manager suspended them both. Eddie Shore, also a Hall of Famer, draws Newsy's nod for his rock-ribbed years on the Boston defense, including a near killing of Toronto's Ace Bailey. Newsy comments, as sure as he insisted it was an accident, he didn't know how he was cross-checking in the melee, then proceeded to fracture Ace's skull on the ice. One modern guy, Lou Fontinato of the Rangers, made Newsy's defense as owner of the all-time NHL record for defensemen in terms of sin bin minutes for a single season with 202 and 55-56. Leapin' Lou honestly deserves recognition. Behind the fearsome foursome on defense, Newsy places Patty Moran of the Quebec Bulldogs in goal with this explanation. Patty was in a class by himself when it came to chopping toes of opposing forwards who came within range. And in those days, the skate toes weren't as well padded, but his pet skill was squirting tobacco in your eye. Newsy... yeah, there you go. Imagine dipping while you're playing net. Oh, there you go. Newsy's forward array is modern. In the modern era, hockey's meanness has shifted from defense to the forward lines, probably because it's no longer sufficient for a defenseman to halt only one man. Putting Bill Izanicki at center, Newsy flanks him and Leo Labine on right wing and Ted Lindsay on left. Labine, traded this year by Boston to Detroit, has totaled more than 11 hours in the NHL sin bins as one of the best needlers in the industry. Lindsay and Izanicki have drifted off the NHL scene, but left a lot to be remembered them by. Their 1951 brawl is rated as a positive gem by Newsy. Lindsay, then with Detroit, and Izanicki with Boston, were getting along just peachy until Lindsay gave Izanicki a shove. Izanicki replied with a one-stitch cut on Lindsay's forehead. Lindsay retaliated with an 11-inch bang on Izanicki's noggin. Izazinski, God, this guy's name, tore loose from restraining hands, ran into Lindsay's right hook, and crashed backwards on the ice with such force that he picked up 4 stitches in the back of his head as well as 4 more in the front of his already battered puss. He also lost a tooth. Izzy's 19 stitches and missing molar cost Lindsay a $300 fine and a 3-game suspension without pay. For sheer damage, Newsy rates Lindsay's demonstrate only inflicted on Cully Watson by the late Dick Irvin in the Hockey Hall of Fame. One night in Calgary, where Cully reigned as the terror of the Western Hockey League, Cully had cross-checked Irvin's lower teeth right into his tongue. relates Newsy, and was handed a major penalty. But that wasn't enough in Dick's opinion. Dick maneuvered near enough to the penalty box to poleaxe the sitting Cully unconscious. Cully had enough stitches to weave an Indian blanket. Because of the more successful fisticuff, and Cully goes into Newsy's second line as a center. Bill Cook, the Ranger ex-great and Hall of Famer, has the right wing spot on Newsy's second stringers because of what I saw him dish out during the 3 years I played with him in Saskatoon. And Ken Randall, Toronto St. Pat's and New York American, goes on the left, mainly because of the way he'd take on the best of the opposing scrappers, such as Maroons, Nels, Stewart. One night in New York, the late Nels was so furious, he told a relieving sub to beat it back to the bench. And he went after Randall. Newsy wanted stressed that moderns shouldn't think that they have to play dirty to get into the Hall of Fame. I guess we were pretty good players too, but it costs too much to be a dirty player today. This is in 1961, if you only knew. But yeah, there you go. Spitting tobacco and 50 stretcher case incidents. There you go. Shore almost killing Bailey and Leo Labine. Yeah, some of these old, and of course, like I always say, Yuka's such a historian, and he's got some great stuff, I'll tell you. But just going back and reading some of this old stuff, like you can't even wrap your head around how crazy hockey was back then. Like it's, unbelievable. And But, what was the other ones? Oh yeah, the best in the East. So the best in the East for 2000. These were run in the Regina paper. And basically, like I said, I've done these before. It was voted on because there's the East and West divisions in the Western Hockey League. So this is just for the East. But basically, ballots were given to players and coaches, and you weren't allowed to vote for guys on your own team. So, but this is right. This is all player voted. So that, it doesn't... there aren't better authorities than the actual guys that played against them. But they have best fighter, best fans, best referee, best player, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, one of the best. So this is the 99-2000 season. But the best fighter by 80 got 82 points was Stephen Pete, followed by Eric Goddard, which is interesting because this is the year that actually Goddard actually buckled Pete in a fight at center ice. Darcy Hordichuk was third, Graham Belak fourth, Craig Brunel fifth, Dion Lassou, Dean Serdachny, Travis Churchman, Jim Vandermeer, Barrett Jackman, Colton Orr, he was a rookie that year, Swift Current, Josh Mazur, Medicine Hat, 1 vote, Randy Ponte, and Jordan Tutu. I can tell you Mazur should have got way more than 1 vote. He should have been close to the top because he fought all those guys. Josh Mazur fought Eric Goddard 13 times. He was really good, and he took a round out of Lassou too. But again, these players also didn't have the luxury of like seeing video and stuff because this is 99-2000, so there was no YouTube and stuff back then. But I managed to get a few of these DVDs back in the day. But yeah, Pete and Goddard and Hordichuk were awesome. I will say when Calgary played Saskatoon in the playoffs, Pete took a round out of Hordichuk in their fight. Graham Belak, of course, Wade Belak's younger brother, really good. Went on to have a pro career. Big guy. I believe he's an RCMP officer now. Craig Brunel, under the radar guy. Not a lot of video on him. Tough as shit, though. Played in Rochester for a little while. Then went on and played in the LNH for a bit. Tough dude, man. Like I said, Colton Orr was just getting started with Swift Current. But yeah, I love these old polls here. But now 2001. So, of course, it's the best fighter. We got to find it here. Best fighter actually voted number 1, Jim Vandermeer. Those Vandermeers. Jimmy Vandermeer with Red Deer had 59% of the vote, or 59 points, followed by David Kozauka of Regina. Kozauka had a crazy year that year. He had 500 minutes. He fought like 40 times. Tremendous fights, though. Kozauka was awesome, wide open. Third was Grant McNeil. Fourth was Brett Scheffelmeyer. Fifth, Matt Sommerfeld. You've heard me talk about him on here. Eric Bowen, Randy Ponte, Barrett Jackman. Barrett Jackman played for Regina. He was really good. Like a real solid player, captain, great player, but he'd fight everybody too. He's a tough guy. Derek Halderson, he's a tough guy too, under the radar guy. Sean O'Connor, Dean Serdachny, and Jeff Smith. Jim Vandermeer had some great fights in the Western League. There's a few of his fights on my YouTube channel. I have the Regina DVD from that year when Kozauka just went nuts. I should put more of Kozauka's fights on the channel because he was really good. And Grant McNeil was awesome at PA too. Scheffelmeyer met us. Nat Scheffelmeyer, 6'6", drafted by St. Louis, played in Worcester for a bunch of years. Tough guy. Matt Sommerfeld, you've heard me talk about him. He just played in the Western League for a few years, and then that was it. Went back to the farm, but tough dude, fought everybody. But yeah, there you go, folks. The best in the East according to the players of the Western Hockey League. Well, player spotlight. We should probably get into it here. As I said, Matt Kassian. Great suggestion by Yuka. And I gotta say, if you go to hockeyfights.com, as much as I hate saying that, but actually, even if you just type in Matt Kassian American Hockey League, he looked great in the American Hockey League. There was a lot of fight. Like, I looked up a bunch of his fights in the American League. Because I hadn't really, you'll watch stuff, but like I said, I watched so much stuff you forget. But yeah, and there was a couple articles there about Kassian taking boxing and that stuff. You can really tell. And for the longest time, I didn't know he could throw lefts, but he was throwing lefts a lot in the American League. He's right-handed predominant, but he threw lefts too. And but big guy, 6'5", 240, drafted in the second round, 57th overall in the 05 entry draft by Minnesota. Honestly, I dig it, but I don't really know what Minnesota was doing, because especially a second rounder. I'm no slight to Matt Kassian, but at the time, just with Minnesota, they had Bugard was there. He was 25. They had John Scott. They had Riley Emerson. I don't know if it was just who's the toughest guy in the Western League and who's the biggest. That's who we're going to take. Because, you got Boogie at what? 6'7". John Scott, 6'8", whatever he was, 6'6". Riley Emerson, 6'8". Kassian at 6'5". It's just, what are we doing here? Cornering the market. But the thing was, John Scott was 24, Bugard was 25. They're entering their primes, and yet you're still drafting these monsters. So I remember when he got drafted, we were pumped for him, but I was like, Minnesota, really? Okay, I don't know what they're trying to corner the market, I guess, on monsters, but yeah. So he played a few seasons. He played a season with the Texas Wildcatters in the East Coast League, then with the Houston Aeros, of course. In 07-08 was his first pro year. 2010-2011, he made his NHL debut. Played 4 games with the Wild. Played 12 minutes, or got 12 minutes of penalties. But overall, what did I say his fights were? 5, I think 13, 18. 29 career fights in the NHL, including preseason. He played 76 games, 4 goals, 1 assist, 177 minutes of penalties for his career. So brief NHL career, but yeah. And so I kind of, like I said, I went through his fights, and this is my player spotlight on Matt Kassian. And what I did with this one is I basically just scrolled as hockeyfights.com, and because most of the time when I do these player spotlights, I just do NHL fights. But I did pick out a few of his American League fights that I highly recommend you go and check out. And like I said, they're on hockeyfights.com, so you can just go check them out. But one of the fights in the East Coast League that he had was against Mike Segura. And they square off, and right when Segura's coming in, Kassian, whack, hits him with that left jab, catches him good. Pretty wild exchange. Segura catches him with a good one, but he hangs in there. Just a wild, kind of quick, dirty fight. But it's interesting because Segura was about 6'5" too, so there really wasn't that much of a height difference. And that's a big name at that point. Segura had a big rep, and saw a little back and forth. Then he fought Bruce Watson as well, another veteran minor league guy. A lot of grappling and stuff, but once he actually gets position, he goes right into those left hands, and it's big guy wrestling, just kind of smothering him, but lefts and rights. Got the win there. And then I just kind of was going through some of his 08-09 with the American League. Great preseason fight with Francis Lassard. That's a fight. Definitely check it out. Just toted. And well, I love Frankie Lassard on this channel, but just bombing lefts on each other. And then, which Kassian looked great with throwing the lefts because they're hammering each other, but it's like Kassian in a natural lefty where Lassard is, but they're exchanging, and then he switches up to the right. I'm not giving it. It's a draw, whatever, but just a tremendous fight. The thing that's it's funny because they get there late, but Kassian already has his helmet off, and Lassard kept his on. Now I don't know if Lassard kept it on on purpose, because he's been known to do that a couple times. Lassard's a motherfucker, man. So I don't know if he did it on purpose or not, or if it was just like the fight, because the camera's a little slow getting there, because they'd already sort of engaged by the time the camera gets there. But I don't know if Kassian took it off first or not. Another fight during that season, again, with John Morasti, great fight. And of course, it's like, 5'7" versus 6'6", so it always looks funny, but Morasti's right in there with him. It's a typical Morasti fight, just a great slugfest. John's punching up, and Kassian's punching down and taking a few shots and some Jersey jabs, because John's trying to work inside. And, just a real solid fight. The next fight was against Emerson, and I had Riley on the show. Great guest. If you want to go back in the archives, Riley Emerson was a great guest. And he talks about going to Minnesota camp, and it's Scott and Bugard and all them, and he's looking around like, Jesus, really? But yeah, they square off, had a solid fight, just, back and forth. And another really great fight that my boy Jay filmed, and it's on his channel, against a NHL veteran who was playing at Quad City at that time, Brad Brown. And they drop the helmets and square off, and just a real solid exchange, just a real quick exchange, but it's a great fight. Just whack, whack, whack. So definitely check out those fights, because they were great. 2009, 2010 NHL preseason. He fights Aaron Johnson of Chicago. They initially get together and they fall down right away, but they gets back up, and it's just kind of slot. Johnson lands a couple and then goes for the big punch, and he misses, and Kassian kind of sidesteps him, and then it ends up like behind him. And then he just kind of starts raining down shots on him and overwhelms him, and Johnson's trying to busy right himself and never really does, and then Kassian just kind of takes him down. So it wasn't like the greatest fight or anything, but like Kassian looked pretty dominant. And then he ended up having 19 regular season fights in the American League. And another great fight that he had was with Josh Gratton. Although, you mentioned Josh Gratton, I think every fight he's ever had is great. But yeah, they pop the helmets square off, and it's just a great fight. And then mid-fight, Kassian's jersey comes over. That's the one thing I've noticed. Kassian needed to get a shorter tie down, because his jersey would come up over his head. It comes up over his head, but Kassian doesn't stop. He just keeps punching. Eventually, his jersey comes back down. Then he switches to the left, and he catches Gratton with a good one. And that kind of slows Josh's momentum. He doesn't go down, but you'll see what I mean when he switches. After his jersey comes down, whack, he hits him with the left, and all of a sudden it's like, woo. It's like somebody hit the pause button for a second. Then they just kind of grab each other and get broken up. But yeah, great fight. He fights Morasti again. Again, helmets off, square off. Same kind of fight. John punching up, Kassian punching down, and a lot of action, and just great fights. And then, and then another fight against a veteran NHL guy, Ryan Flynn. Hey, there's another guy I could do a player spotlight on. Flynn was a bad motherfucker, man. Big, angry, apparently a firefighter in San Antonio now. But, big dude. So, they're the same size, and they clash. And, it's not the greatest fight in the world, but they both land some solid shots on each other. And it just, at that point, just Kassian as a young guy going up against a vet like that and just holding his own, and you could tell he's getting it. And again, I'm really impressed with Kassian's left, because it was funny going into this. I didn't really know he threw lefts like that. Everyone throws a left like it's a show me left, right? Show me just that I got one out there. But Kassian's, you could tell he had definitely been working on it. And because it's funny, when you watch his NHL stuff, he really doesn't do it much. But in the American League, it's like, this is like my new toy, and I'm going to figure it out. I need to talk to you. Yeah, he'd be fun to talk to, actually. 2010, 2011 NHL preseason. He fights Eric Brewer. Yeah, I know, but Kassian throws a big hit. It was a clean hit, finishing his check, coming in on the forecheck. Brewer comes in, captain, gonna, stick up for his guy. Kassian pops him a few times, and Brewer goes down and whatever. Then his next fight's against Matt Walker. There's another guy that often doesn't get talked about with Matt Walker. He played in the Western League. I don't know a lot of, I know him. I've seen some of his fights. He's had a vicious knockout of Vandermeer, but I don't know a lot about. I don't know if I've watched a lot of Matt Walker fights. There's a guy I should do a player spotlight on. This fight wasn't much. They just get in tight, but again, Kassian gets the left going, but whatever. It wasn't much, but then he gets sent down to the American League. He fights Anthony Peluso. Again, really good back and forth battle here. I love me some Anthony Peluso. Kassian, I will say, he's got a really strong arm, like left arm lockout. And he really knows how to work it, where the guy's got to either punch over his arm or try to punch under his arm, and he can't reach him. And it's just, you'll see what I mean when you watch it. But Kassian must have been, like, really strong, because you could see how he holds them out, and he really has Peluso strung out. And Peluso eventually lands a couple, and it's pretty solid back and forth. Yeah, I'd call it a draw. Another really great fight he has is against Luke Gazdic, and Gazdic's playing in the Dallas farm team at the time. And square off, but just heavy shots both ways, and they both guys show that they got chins because they hammer the shit out of each other. Definitely look up the Gazdic fight. Tremendous. Then he had 2 regular season NHL fights. So his first NHL regular season fight was against Jared Bowl, Columbus, square off. Kassian really uses his length. Lots of helmet shots on Bowl. Bull's doing the Jersey jab thing because, what are you going to do at 6'2"? He's having trouble getting in there. He lands a couple on him, but definitely a really, and again, Bull, solid veteran guy. So it's a good showing for your first NHL fight for Kassian. His next fight's against the veteran Jody Shelley, who's playing with Philly at the time. Again, they square off. This is a really strong showing against an NHL vet. This probably got Kassian a really solid look. They're kind of Jersey jab and they get off balance a little bit, but Kassian throws a really strong right and catches Shelley really good. And they end up wrestling along the boards, but Kassian is, because Shelley's actually the same height, but Kassian really controls this fight and looks really strong. So you can see he's getting it, right? And he's just growing up. He's becoming a man, right? Because now he's like 21, 22. You're starting to get man strength, right? You're getting out of the teenage years, and and he's working obviously with NHL like professional strength trainers and all this. So you could tell he's obviously he's honing his craft, so to speak, and taking it, and he's just getting better. 2011-12 preseason, he fights Hordichuk with Edmonton. Hordichuk throws a big hit. So Kassian comes in. They swing around, land a couple, draw, whatever. But again, 2011-2012, he had 13 fights that year, 7 of them in the NHL. A couple of his American League opponents were, Eric Goddard's last run when he played for the Texas Stars. I really wish I could find that video. I couldn't find it, but I'd love to see Goddard. I have a picture of that fight, which doesn't help me in this review, and then Kyle Newbury fought him too. Unfortunately, those videos I couldn't find them. I'd love to see those two, but those were kind of 2 of the notable guys he fought in the American League. But then his 7 fights in the NHL, he fights Zenon Konopka. In tight, this really wasn't much. I'd call it a draw. Then there's a game in Edmonton where he fights Darcy Hordichuk twice. In round 1, that square off, and Kassian just overwhelms him, and and definitely a win there. And then in round 2, it's a few more shots, and Hordichuk goes down. Hordichuk didn't look good in either of these fights. I'm a huge Darcy fan, but he just looked overwhelmed in these fights, and and that's the thing. At this point, Hordichuk's getting a little long in the tooth. Time is coming. He'd had a lot of fights up to a lot of mileage on those fists. Next fight was against George Peros. It was just in tight. Kassian stayed busier, but it really wasn't much. The next fight was interesting. It was against Sean Thornton. So now you're talking about obviously a veteran. So they square off, and immediately because I hadn't seen this fight. It's basically, this is like the tale of 2 fights. The first half, Kassian is all over him and just dominating him. But you can just see, got his helmet off, whack, whack, whack. Kassian's just giving it to him. And it's like Thornton's in a lot of trouble, but you could just see the veteran, right? Doesn't panic, been in hundreds of fights, takes his time. And in the second half, when Kassian starts getting Thornton just waits him out and then weathers the storm, and he starts coming back in the second half, and he lands some pretty good shots. They both end up still standing on their feet, but definitely a draw. But it did not start off well for Thornton, but that veteran, right? Next fight is against. The next fight was against Bissonnette. They square up. They just kind of fall down right away, which was unfortunate. And then the last fight of the season for him was against Guillaume. Is like Debens for Calgary. Pardon me, I don't know how to say the French, but this was just all Kassian. Kassian just overwhelms him and puts him down, and so a nice way to end the 2011-12 season for Kassian. So up to this point, from when I'm watching these videos, Kassian is looking like holy shit, like this guy's on a roll here, and he's coming, he's big, and just and he's really learning and picking it up, and not a bad skater, and just like, this guy's got something. But it's they, he starts the 2012-2013 season. He has 7 fights. Kassian, that was the other thing. Kassian had a lot of injuries too, but he ends up with 2 fights in the American League and 5 in the NHL. But he has been picked up by Ottawa at this point. One of his fights is again in the American Leagues against Sorrentini. Again, big guy. They square off. They're just in tight. Call it a draw. But his next fight's against Eric Lizon, and I was like, "Holy shit! I gotta check this out," because I'm a big Lizon fan. And Lizon was fairly killer in the minors, and he's playing for Oklahoma City Barons, and Lizon is, and Kassian just gives it to him, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like, all right, but. Yeah, then on to the NHL. He with the Ottawa Senators. His first fight's against BJ Crombeen. Basically, Kassian just pummels him. Solid W. Nice first fight with Ottawa. Then the next one is against the Battle of Ontario, of course. He fights Colton Orr, and he's Jersey, and it's hard to see. He Jersey jabs him, and it's like, but I think Orr's helmet got in front of his face. Like, it's coming off his head, so it's in front of his face, and at the same time, Kassian, I think, must have punched kind of Orr's helmet, and it goes into Orr's face a little bit, and you can see it kind of rattles him, and then he goes down. Orr gets up right away, and he's not cut or anything, but it's just a real quick, dirty fight, but, like, Cassian's kind of, like, just all over him really quick. So it wasn't a good showing for Orr. So immediately when they get out of the box, Fraser McLaren's going to exact revenge, so they square off, and basically... yeah, McLaren just pummels Kassian in this fight. Fraser McLaren was so good. But big guy, and yeah, he gets his revenge. He gives it to Kassian pretty good. And that was one of the things that they brought Kassian in for Ottawa, because they had Neil, of course, but he's getting, Neil's getting long in the tooth. He can't fight everybody. But, of course, Toronto loads up with McLaren and Orr and all this, But McLaren had really hung one on Drzinski, that big, vicious knockout, and it was like, okay, we got to do something. So next thing you know, they make the move for Kassian, and so Kassian and McLaren have there's a little history with Ottawa and Toronto. So, and you could tell Kassian after he beat Orr in that first one, he kind of like motions like, hey, get the crowd into it and whatever. Well, McLaren's like, yeah, fuck this, So, yeah. Anyway, the next fight is against Peros. Yeah, again, they're in tight. I like George, but man, he's tough to watch sometimes. A lot of wrestling, just not two big guys holding on to each other. Kassian tries to stay busier, but yeah. Then he fights McLaren again. Again, Kassian starts strong, but McLaren kind of comes back in it, and through their wrestling, it's interesting. He headbutts Kassian. And I from watching the video a couple times, it's not blatant like Bialowas on Walcott or anything, or Probert on McCarthy, but he brings his head up real quick, and he kind of like, he hits. We'll put it this, I don't think he meant not to do it, but I don't think he meant to do it. But I don't think he was really sad that it happened either. Whatever. But hey, you're fighting. There's a little heat there, a little tension. Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. But that was this, so 2013, 2014, start the year with Ottawa, 2 preseason fights against Jamie Devane. Again, starts strong. Devane fires back. Draw. Then his next fight's against Travis Moen. I can't tell. Moen goes down right away, but it's hard to tell. Like, Kassian throws a punch, it's along the glass, and it almost looks like he kind of hits him with his forearm on his follow-through, and Moen goes down. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Moen gets right back up, and he's not bleeding or anything, and he skates over to the box fight. So it kind of leads me to believe it was sort of a grazing shot, and he just sort of lost his balance. But this year is his first kind of full season in the NHL. Had 9 fights. First fight of the year is against Bull. This one's all Kassian. Same thing, strings Bull out. Bull can't get inside. Cassian's not like landing anything really damaging, but he's peppering them, but strong showing to start the year. Next fight's against Chris Barch. I did a player spotlight on Barch last year. Barch is awesome. I love Barch. They smack each other a few times. Cassian's got the size on him, but Barch, man, he stands in the pocket and he'll take it, throw it back. It's a draw, but solid fight. Next fight's against Jay Rosehill. A lot of wrestling. Again, kind of a draw. Next fight is against Jordan Caron of Boston. Kassian throws a big hit and Caron comes in. It's nothing. Kassian kind of just slaps him around, knocks him down. Another fight against his next fight's against Peluso in Winnipeg. Really good exchange, much like their American League fight. Two tall guys kind of string each other out. They're not going to engage. It's sort of a modern fight, kind of a lot of jersey jabbing and leaning away. But yeah. He fights McLaren again. It's a nothing fight. Fall down. He fights Barch. They square off again. Not much. A lot of wrestling here and there. And then he fights Kevin Westgarth, who's playing for Calgary. Kassian picks up the instigator. Basically, Westgarth drills Eric Carlson in the corner. Clean hit, but it's your captain. You can't be messing with Carlson. And Kassian comes right off the bench, goes right after Westgarth. It really wasn't much. Kassian just kind of overwhelms them and they go down. It wasn't much of a fight. Westgarth's hot about it because he kind of thinks Kassian jumped him, but whatever. I'm surprised if that incident happened now, they'd probably give Kassian 10 games for coming off the bench. That's how it's gotten because he made no attempt to, as soon as he came off, he beelined to Westgarth. So, and then, Matt Kassian's final career fight, and it's a tough one to go out on, was his fight with Brett Gallant. Of course, Brett Gallant got called up to the Islanders, and it is a one-punch KO. Well, he didn't KO him, but one-punch TKO because Kassian gets up. But whack, and down he went. And Gallant with the heavy fists, and the following year, basically Kassian played 2 games in Portland, and called it a career. That was it. So I don't know if he was. I wouldn't be surprised if he was concussed after the Gallant fight, because Gallant just fucking buckles him. That was the problem. I don't know if some injuries were just catching up with Kassian. Like I said, he had some injuries there. That second season with Ottawa, he was really underwhelming. Like I said, bunch of draws and stuff, and just kind of nothing fights at that point. And it's just and then you get buckled by Gallant, who's 6 feet maybe, and it doesn't look good. And I think he was obviously brought in to sort of really send a message. This is just how I'm interpreting it. Kind of really send a message to the Leafs, and he didn't really do that. I mean, he kind of had the win over Orr, but it was kind of and then McLaren just kind of has his way with him a couple times, and it's just And I maybe he's just one of those guys just that just fell out of it. Just didn't, like I said, you've been doing it since you were 17 in junior. It's run its course. You have a whole bunch of fights, 20 fight seasons in the American League and shit. Yeah, your hands are, they only got so much mileage in them, right? And, and the thing is Kassian was really, really smart. He was WHL Scholastic Player of the Year. He went on to get a commerce degree, and he is now a financial advisor. And he also helps retired players with their pensions and stuff like that. So, yeah, he's gone on to do really cool things. And got an education and he has gone on to the financial world. So he's one of the happy cases, I guess you could call it, was like a former tough, because it's always doom and gloom with with the forces, with the mental health and the suicide, or they're not doing well, or you hear all the sad stories, right? Well, here's a guy that was a success story, played in the NHL for a while, had lived out his dream, played in the NHL. And then went on, and now he's having a successful financial career. Has 3 kids, married with 3 kids, and I think he had a podcast for a little while too. Not personal. I don't listen to hockey podcasts when I'm not doing this, but So good luck to Matt. Well, I don't have to say good luck. He's already having good luck. Well done, and thank you to Matt Kassian. Like I said, been a fan since the Vancouver Giants. Kind of tough last season there in Ottawa, and I think, that probably maybe it just caught up to him, the injuries, and just I'm taking a few shots, and this young kid comes up from the Islander, from the minors with the Islanders, and buckles me in one shot, and I ain't feeling this anymore. I'm just not into it, right? So, because I'm sure, he definitely a guy that big and with NHL pedigree and stuff, he could have caught on with another organization and stuff. Now, I shouldn't say with Portland he played 2 games. I'm not quite sure Maybe he got hurt. Maybe he did. I didn't look that close into it. Maybe he got hurt in Portland, or I think he just walked away. It was just like enough already. So he just didn't want to do the American League grind anymore. So, which I don't blame these guys. Tough way to make a living, right? But like I said, at the end of the day, 70-some games, 29 fights, but yeah, a shit ton in the American League. But yeah, I really recommend go down the Matt Kassian rabbit hole, because like I said, I think it's a guy that he doesn't get talked about a lot. And again, I don't know what I would say his best. What would I say his best NHL fight was? Kind of looking here. I don't know. It might be Jody Shelley, maybe. Yeah, I would say that probably, because just against a veteran named guy. But he had some, like I said, great fights in the American League. Actually, those are the ones to go check out. Check out his fights with Morasti and like Josh Gratton and Gazdick and stuff. That's where it's at, man. And like I said, ugh. But hockeyfights.com, if you go to his fight card, click on it, you can scroll down. And they got the links right there to check out. So yeah, I recommend it. And like I said, that's why I like doing I haven't done these for a while. I'm glad I just kind of came to it. I'm like, yeah, I should do a player spotlight, and I'm thankful to Yuka for suggesting Matt Kassian, because that was a fun little rabbit hole to go down. Like I said, watch all his junior stuff. Nape's put together a great WHL fights of Kassian that he was dominant in junior. Yeah, and then I never really went further. I mean, again, you see a million. I'm sure I saw his Morasti fights. I know that. But I don't remember the Gazdick fights or anything like that. Like I said, you watch a million fights. I don't have these things, etched in my brain. A lot of them, I've seen so much stuff. But it was fun to revisit them or visit them for the first time. And like I said, with these player spotlights, they're really enjoyable because you watch them all right in a row, and you can really get a sense of a guy. You just get a sense of him, how he's growing. And like I said, you could see in the American League when he first got turned pro, someone must have told him, hey, man, you got to start punching with both hands, because he starts using lefts. And, but doesn't really do it in the NHL, though. Not really. Kind of, but not really. Definitely stays with the predominant punching hand at the right. But, yeah, it was just a real fun... Again, as far as an audio version of that go, I don't know how great these player spotlights are in terms of an audio, but as I do them, like I said, hopefully you go to hockeyfights.com and like you can basically scroll down with me and maybe listen to my description and then go watch it, and then like see how close I was or if I was wrong with it or not. But like I said, that's why I get brought up, oh, you should do the player spotlight because you have that DVD I sent you or whatever. Yeah, but most people don't have that DVD. So I'm describing fights that they'll never be able to see. So that's why I want to do the fights that the people have access to, so they can go on YouTube and watch them. So you see what I'm watching and what I'm describing. So that's why I do that. So because I've had people suggest, oh, you should do like whoever, like Ken Tasker or something. It's like, that'd be really cool, but, most people have never seen those, and, you know what I'm saying. So, but anyway, that's about an hour and a half of me yapping, and my throat's starting to go, and it's Sunday at almost 6 o'clock, so I should probably go eat some supper here. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Please download, don't stream. That's how we get paid. I guess I should have said that at the start of the show, not at the end. You were like, I already streamed this whole thing. I ain't downloading it now. But please follow me on social media. Remember Fighting Fridays on YouTube, my live stream. I'd love for you to stop by, join the chat, crack some beers. It's a lot of fun. Really want to grow this thing. I think we could. I think it could be pretty cool. And I have I have some ideas that I want to do going forward that I think would be a lot of fun. Get players involved, that type of thing. So please join. Hopefully see you there. And other than that, here we go, man. Sunday, Bloody Sunday. Here we go. Hopefully you enjoy this, and let's attack the work week. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks, everybody.
And you people that don't like fighting, how many of you did you walk out and get a coffee while that was on?